There are monsters in the Witcher's world which dwell deep within ruins. Creatures of darkness waiting for unsuspecting travelers. But vampires. Some vampires are different. Many do not simply hide from torchlight. They pass on straight through. Some speak, some reason, some love. Their minds are ancient, but their hunger is older still. They are not undead in the familiar sense, and they can vary quite dramatically from traditional ideas of vampires. Like many supernatural beings in this world, vampires arrived with the conjunction of the spheres. Migrants from elsewhere, shaped not only by instinct, but also by centuries, even millennia, of memory. Their bodies regenerate, their hearts beat slowly, steadily. Their minds hold ambition, longing, and grief. Traditionally, they are split into the classifications of lower and higher vampires, the feral beasts that lurk below, and the human-like apex predators who thrive above. But that division flattens their complexity. It's more accurate to imagine them as a spectrum, a gradient that stretches from instinct-driven monsters at the bottom to ancient, powerful immortals at the top. So that's how we'll explore them, not as rigid categories, but as a continuum. Starting with the creatures that are beastly in body and mind, and slowly rising towards the ones who can easily pass you on the street without raising a single suspicion. At the very lowest tier of this spectrum, beginning with the most primitive of the vampires, we find the Plumard. Plumards are the bottom rung of the vampire world, little more than oversized bat-like beasts. They can't speak or reason. Whatever passes for their mind is ruled entirely by hunger. While they are somewhat weak in singular units, they grow more powerful in large numbers, which they tend to move in packs. They depend upon swarm tactics to take down their prey. It's very likely that sunlight weakens them, pushing them into cellars and ruins until night gives them strength again. If vampires have an evolutionary beginning, Plumards feel like a remnant to that first feral shape. Though weaker than the rest of their ilk in most aspects, these bat-like humanoids should not be underestimated, for they are still very dangerous. Fletters have an unmistakable appearance, with their wide, toothy jaws, flat, unpleasant faces, and their completely hairless, often warded bodies. These vampires mainly fight with their teeth and claws, flailing them blindly and not stopping even when their victim is already dead. Even a solitary fletter is strong enough to take down a trained soldier. Compared to other vampires, fletters display meager intelligence, seen most clearly in their mindless rage, which causes them to try with all their might to attack and tear to shreds any weaker being. Proto-fletters represent a more extreme, unstable evolution of this line. They are characterized by considerable strength and agility, moving with a speed and ferocity that far exceeds their smaller kin. A faint, unnatural glow often surrounds their bodies, hinting at their otherworldly origins. Unlike many vampires, proto-fletters have had almost no contact with the outside world, making them feral, unpredictable, and all the more dangerous to anyone who encounters them. Garkins are leathery, long-limbed horrors that lurk near swamps and abandoned villages. Their bodies sag with loose folds of skin. Their faces twist into stubby, noseless masks that screech at anything that wanders too close. Often preying on its soon-to-be victims from rooftops, Garkins strike with terrifying precision, diving onto the prey from above. As lesser vampires, they are foul enough that the mere sight of one can paralyze witnesses. They are drawn not only to blood, but also to fresh meat and corpses. They use a variety of brutal methods to pin down and overwhelm victims, ripping through flesh under their immense weight. Despite their monstrously hideous appearance, Garkins often act as leaders among other lesser vampires, corralling packs of weaker subspecies into coordinated attacks. They cannot run for long, but their strength and agility allow them to leap great distances. In combat, they frequently attempt to disorient foes with blasts of mental energy, conjuring visions that confuse and beguile. Garkins cannot mimic humanity or speak, and their intelligence is limited to crude packed instincts, but they remain one of the more dangerous predators on the lower end of the vampire spectrum. Ekimaras mark a significant step up on the spectrum. They walk upright, hunt with coordinated strategy, and show flashes of intelligence that border on cruelty. Their bodies are lanky and predatory, with elongated jaws and claws built for draining blood in seconds. Like other lower vampires, they resemble oversized bats, grotesque and sinewy, but their cruelty is far more immediate. They do not sink their fangs delicately into the neck. They tear their victims to shreds with long, razor-sharp claws, leaving blood to splatter across the floor, which they will then proceed to lap up off of their claws and the floor, in order to sustain their primal hunger. Ekimara are exceptionally swift and unusually cruel. A single foe can strike blow after blow, strong enough to shatter even the most resilient of armor. They possess impressive regenerative abilities, and as such, the proper approach is to strike quickly, cut them down, and, if possible, burn their remains to ash to prevent their return. They can track their prey through heartbeat alone, weaving through ruins with an uncanny awareness of their surroundings. While Ekimaras can't mimic humanity, they are far more calculating than the beasts who are below them. In their natural form, catechins are monstrous, bat-like creatures, larger than their lesser kin, with long, ever-growing claws and fangs designed to rip flesh. Yet what makes them truly terrifying is their cunning. Catechins can disguise themselves as ordinary humans, slipping unnoticed through towns and villages, preying on victims without ever revealing their true nature. Catechins, along with their deadlier cousins the Nekarats, embody human fear itself. They lurk in shadows and feed on blood. They strike with precision. Some can even turn invisible, leaving only dread in their victims' minds while they wait for the perfect moment to attack. In combat, a catechin's shadow is often the only clue to its position. Steel does little to harm, while their regeneration is fast, senses sharp, and movements almost impossibly swift. While they are less susceptible to sunlight than their lesser counterparts, it slows their healing and weakens them just enough to be vulnerable. Some notable examples of catechins include Gale and Hubert Rick. Nekarats are a far rarer find, and are much deadlier than catechins, feared even among vampires for their strength and cunning. They are primarily nocturnal, and like catechins, their natural form is a monstrous bat-like shape. They are distinctly larger than catechins, and are even more dangerous. However, they possess the intelligence and subtlety to, presumably, assume humanoid appearances, living undetected among humans and other races. Unlike the feral Ekimaras or the Fletters, Nekarats do not rend their victims to pieces. They drink blood carefully in small or large doses, leaving only faint bite marks as the evidence of their presence. Sunlight weakens them, though it does not destroy them outright, and their speed, perception, and regenerative abilities make them formidable predators even to experienced witchers. Nekarats are a reminder that intelligence and patience can be deadly when combined with brute strength. Alps are vampires that resemble Bruxae in appearance, though they have earned the nickname Phantoms for a reason. Like phantoms, they haunt and torment humans, usually taking the form of women, but they can also appear as animals. They are most often found prowling near villages, striking under the cover of night, and their activity peaks when the moon is full. Alp saliva carries a dangerous power. It can put a man to sleep, and when applied to the sleeping, it induces vivid and horrifying nightmares. Some legends suggest Alps are the cause of tales of men who go to bed healthy, only to be found in the morning pale as snow, not a drop of blood in their veins. They are exceptionally fast, with stamina even greater than most vampires. Precision is essential, for they are masters of evasion. While they cannot turn invisible like the Bruxae, they emit a piercing shriek that can incapacitate, and their leaping ability borders on flight. When assuming human form, they blend effortlessly into the surrounding population, making them unpredictable and extremely dangerous predators. At the precipice of vampire consciousness stand the Bruxae. Fortunately, these creatures are rare, and most live far from human settlements, carving lairs where they cannot be surprised. Those that choose to dwell near men avoid crowds, emerging only at night. When they move among the unsuspecting, they could almost be mistaken for travelers hurrying towards their lodgings, but subtle details betray them. A close affinity with birds, a piercing voice, and movements of breathtaking speed. Bruxae are far swifter and stronger than any human, but their greatest asset is their power of invisibility. After feeding, they often sing in their native tongue, a sound described as a silent, shrill, and sickening song. Through these songs, they can manipulate human dreams, bending minds into nightmarish visions. In combat, Bruxae dart with inhuman speed, striking from unexpected angles or from nowhere at all. Their claws can shatter guards and batter opponents from every direction, while their bites target weakened prey for the kill. Many also employ sonic attacks to knock down or stun their victims, making them among the most dangerous vampires on the spectrum. Some notable examples of Bruxa include Oriana, Verena, and the Queen of the Night. And last but certainly not least is the apex of vampires, the true higher vampires. These beings can appear indistinguishable from humans, revealing their monstrous nature only at their discretion. They are incredibly intelligent, often possessing unique and formidable abilities. Unlike their lesser kin, higher vampires do not require blood to survive. The act of drinking instead is a luxury, akin to the way humans might savor wine or spirits. Higher vampires maintain an ancient, secretive culture, largely hidden from mortal eyes. What is known is that they celebrate the full moon, a holiday during which even the most disciplined may indulge in raids on villages, drinking deeply from the living. Encounters with these creatures are extraordinarily rare. Most people live their entire lives without ever seeing one. Not all higher vampires are hostile, though. Some avoid humans entirely, while others, in secret, may even work to protect them. Despite their sophistication, higher vampires share one connection with their more primitive cousins: the craving for blood. But unlike Ekimaras, Alps, and Katakans, higher vampires are far closer to humans in both form and behavior. They do not lurk in the shadows or forests. They live in cities, blend seamlessly into society, and can walk unnoticed among us. Yet this resemblance should not deceive. Higher vampires are immortal, and very few have ever survived encounters with them. They are predators in every sense, but predators whose cunning and longevity place them at the top of the vampire gradient. Notable examples of higher vampires include Regis, Detlaf, and the Unseen Elder. From the savage Plumards to the elusive Bruxae, and the rare higher vampires who walk unseen among men, the vampires in The Witcher exist on a subtle gradient of beastliness, power, and intelligence. Some are little more than instinct given form, while others are ancient, calculating, and nearly indistinguishable from humanity. In the shadows of the continent, forests, villages, and cities alike, these creatures endure, a haunting reflection of fear, beauty, and the blurred line between human and monster.